Hi, so let's continue our chat on primitives. The next primitive in our list is lines. Now, I want to highlight how you create a line, and we create these using points, right? One primitive, we use points. Now we have points. We can use those points to create lines. Now, what lines want to do is to draw a continuous, straight line. Remember, if it curves, it's not a line, it's a curve between two, let's spell two correctly this time, two end points, right? So let's draw a continuous straight line between two endpoints, and typically we will define them using coordinates, something like x1, y1 to x2, y2, something like that. Cool. And how does that look? Very similar to drawing the pixels, the points rather. We still have to begin shape, and we begin shape lines. Make notes plural there. Notice that. Okay. We begin shape lines, and then we give a vertex x1, y1. We give another vertex x2, y2, like that. And we get as many as we want, and then we end the shape. Okay, cool. So the first thing to note is we group them in twos. So the first two vertices is one line, the next two vertices is another line, and so on and so forth. But there are variations here. So we can begin shape lines, and every set of vertices defines a line. Alternatively, there's a different kind, which we briefly saw on our slide, called a line strip. And this is a way to save memory and to save some processing if you're doing things in a continuous region. So in a line strip, instead of taking pairs of lines, you take the first two like normal for one line, but the second line takes the previous endpoint and the new one, and they overlap. So if I have three vertices, it's two lines, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. If I have four vertices, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Okay, that's a line strip. And in addition to a line strip, we have a line loop, which is basically exactly the same as a line strip, except it closes the shape. The last one loops back up, closes the shape. So 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 1. So just that's all that is. So you have those options. You have those options there. Cool. There are some properties we can set on lines. We can do line thickness. Right? In processing, this is done using stroke width. Give it a float like that. And yeah, maybe now's a good time. I'm going to jump over to my slides. Beep boop. There we go. Yeah, perfect. So we saw these already. GL lines, just like I said, vertex 0 to 1, 2 to 3. Line strip 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. And then we have this line loop 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. 3 goes back to 0. Easy. Yeah. Where's my... back to my iPad. All right. So we have line thickness. We can also configure other line properties in processing. I'm going to put this note in here for you. Slide 2. It's for your own notes. All right, so processing lets us configure other line properties. And note that I say processing, okay? So one of the things, if you get into graphics, that you'll learn is every engine, every version, every system, it's all these little small nuances that are different. So I'm not going to focus on exactly what's different, but I will highlight a few things as they come up. Here's one example where processing does, additional things and give you additional power that's not typically offered in OpenGL. So for example, in processing, you can configure what are called line caps. If you draw a thick line, right, I draw a thick line like this, how do you end it? You can make it rounded, you can make it square, okay? It also lets you configure what are called joins, where if I have one line and another line, I can make it rounded, or I can make it sharp, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of properties you can look up for line caps, for joins, in processing. Now, in OpenGL, and I don't know if you can do it in processing. You can, but in OpenGL, you can also stipple lines. Stippling lines just means making them dotted or dashed or whatever you want. So let's take a look at these. This is slide 3 to 5, and this is slide 6. So here we go. So here's lines. So this is what it looks like in processing. You can put the cap on the lines, like I said, by setting that parameter. You can set the join type, depending what you want. In OpenGL, it doesn't do the nice caps. It'll just cut a line horizontally or vertically with a straight cut if you make a line thicker, so it looks kind of ugly. Processing's prettied that up. Same thing here. No caps, no joins. It just cuts it right there. And here's what line stipple looks like. You can set patterns. Sometimes they can be regular patterns. They can be non-regular patterns. You can set how it draws the line using bit strings and those kinds of things. So you can do all kinds of things with lines. I'm not really going to spend a lot of time on what you can do with lines, but you really should be aware that it's possible. All right, it's a bit of a short video, but I'll stop here. It's a good place to stop, and we'll come back and have a video on triangles in a moment.